and welcome to tonight's question time live stream. It's been a while. We've finally got it going. We've got the software fixed, so hopefully we are all good to go. And everyone can hear me okay. I'm just turn down that music in my head. Oh god. Okay. Right. Okay. Excellent. We're here. Yeah. So thank you very much for putting up. And for a couple of minutes of lateness there. Just putting children to bed, and I fully expect my son to come down and interrupt everything. So we'll see. He just waits for me to get started, then he comes down because he knows I can't do nothing about it. But hello everyone. Welcome to Question Time. This is a weekly show. When it can be a weekly show where we answer your questions about game dev, Unreal Engine, or anything you want at all. It's time for you to ask your questions. All you got to do is put your questions into chat, and I'll try and grab as many questions as I can throughout this hour-long live stream. If I don't see your question straight away, don't worry, just put it in the chat again, and I'll try and catch it. But try to avoid spamming the chat, as it can get annoying for everyone else. If you're a Patreon member, you can also ask your questions ahead of time. So if you can't make these shows live, you can get your questions still answered by going to Question Time Q Jump on our Patreon Discord. So feel free to join that. And speaking of Patreon, if you're a Patreon member, don't forget to take part in our Creator Challenge for this month. This is a monthly challenge where you, as a Patreon member, can submit some project work, and I'll give you some feedback and review it. And it'll be in the form of a video, and you can take part, and you may even win a little badge thing. That looks kind of cool. It's like try and show this on the screen, but I don't know if it come through at all. Yeah. My voice is quiet. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on there. Okay, testing. Why does it do this? Hang on. Filters. Got no filters. Patreon is easier to manage, and also you get far more benefits on Patreon just because it's, again, easier to manage. But totally up to you, whatever you can do. I know not everyone can do Patreon because of X, Y, Z reasons. Let me. The cat wants to go out. 1 second. I'm just trying to fix audio so it's a little bit better for you guys. Hold on. Alright, chill. Okay, right. Here he is. Damn cat. Come on, there you go. Go, shit. I need like 50% more mic. Why is it? Does anyone else have this issue? If you've got the Elgato Wave Link thing, when I change the gain on it, it just likes to reset itself back to its default settings. Yeah, like it's gone back to its reset default. So I'll boost it by 40 dB, and I'll click save the settings, and it doesn't keep it. Like that should be a bit better now, hopefully. Let me check the levels. Yeah. No, it's that downstairs window. It's fine. Yeah. Anyone else have that issue? If you've got one of these mics, this like Elgato Wave mic, let me know if you found that issue as well. It's just like the input gain on the mic just resets for some reason. I have no idea why. It's really annoying. You have me at full volume and it's fine. Okay, so let's jump into Unreal. That's the wrong screen. There we go. Excellent. Okay, so sorry for that. We're all human. So let me just get the chat window up so I can actually see the questions being asked. Okay. Okie dokie. First question I'm going to pick up is Sans Undertale. Hi Ryan, I have a question. What would be the best way to handle roads and intersections that sink below ground level? Are you talking about like a bridge and like it goes underneath the bridge, and like, I mean it's just meshes that go on top of each other? when you're doing roads on a landscape, you can carve out roads on a landscape using splines and things like that. But you'll be adding meshes to create those intersections and build cities up like that. This is why city open world games take a long time. You have to put in a lot of work into getting it looking good. There's nothing more than just meshes. You put meshes in, like you carve out the landscape like you would normally, and then you just put in splines and then meshes. But bear in mind, with landscapes, you can't do overhangs. You can't go under it. So yes, it has to be a mesh. Next question. I wanted to learn, this is from Ink Ribbon, I wanted to learn simple things to improve blueprint skills, but I can't even make a memory match game. Sorry, yeah. It wasn't really a question. So, I mean, check out my live stream I've done a while ago, which is how to get better at Unreal Engine. It talks about problem solving skills. That's the main thing you're doing when you're learning Unreal and doing game development, is that you're problem solving. You're trying to take a problem you've got and trying to come up with a solution using the tools at your hand. So it's just a matter of learning new tools and seeing what's available to you. And as you get more experience with it over the years, you'll pick up new tools and figure out new ways of doing it. You just have to play with it, really. Yeah. Imaging, how do I change my HUD timer widget from seconds to minute and seconds? Oh, okay. So let's just do that quickly. HUD timer, and create that now. Input panel. Text. And okay, so let's just start a timer on here. I'm guessing you're using a timer by the way you've worded your thing and not the current time. So set time by event, and we'll just do a time of, I don't know, 100 seconds. Okay, and we'll just take it to do any old thing. Doesn't really matter. Remove compare. You need your timer obviously set to a variable, like so, and then we need to update that. So we can do it on tick, for example. We can take our text box, make that variable, drag it in, and do set text. So the issue you're finding is that with timers, you can only get the elapsed seconds or to set time remaining. Oh, maybe it's time elapsed. Yeah, time elapsed by handle. That only returns seconds. So really, it's just a matter of converting it over to minutes and seconds, like as you would normally. You divide by 60 to get the minutes, and divide by 60 again to get the amount of hours that you're gonna have. And I doubt you're gonna get much higher than that for a timer. So if you wanted to, you can just track this out, and you can do divide by 60. And that gives you your minutes. There is something, I can't remember if it does it. Hold on. For floats, no, it's time span. I can't get the time span from this. No. That's right. So there are these things here, but you need a time span pin, which you don't get from these timers. But that's fine. We can just do this. It's simple enough. Yeah. So in this in-text here, we do format text, and we're going to go curly bracket M, curly bracket, colon, curly bracket, S, curly bracket. Okay. So minutes and seconds. So when I divide the seconds by 60, I get the minutes, and the seconds would be the modulo of that. So you do modulo of 60, and that gives you the seconds. Now this may look weird because of the way it formats it, but there's a way around that. Let me just make sure that's looking okay. We'll just go and add it to our character. Pick and play will do. Create the widget. Hard timer. Add to keyboard. Okay. Okay, there's my clock going up and down. Okay, so we got a slight issue. As you see, the minutes and the seconds are being, by default, will give you 3 floating points, which is not how time works. So it looks kind of weird like that. So what you have to do is, oh, not there. A timer. You don't want the decimal point. You just want to truncate it. So if you take these values and truncate them, like that, and truncate that one as well, you get this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so getting there. But you probably want the leading 0. Yeah. So to do that, you just take the value, and use the toText node, toText integer, and expand it open. And you'll see here minimal integral digits and maximum integral digits. Use grouping, always sign. So if you want the minimum, you just change that to 2. That means you can get a leading 0. And we can then plug that into seconds. And then we do the same up here. 2 into the minutes. And that is it. So now you get the leading zeros. And that's how we do our timer using minutes and seconds. And obviously, if you want to do hours, you just take the minutes bit and divide that by 60. And then you modulo out the 60 to get the minutes remaining. Okay? Hopefully that helps you. Zimmy Jim. That helps. Okay, so as promised, we go over to Discord. And we look at what we've got over here in Discord's question time queue jump. So if you're a Patreon member, you can access to this at any tier. Okay, so first question we got. Bobby Roshag. I have a question about AI. How would you keep track of and predict where AI should be doing off screen? Like if you have an enemy that is patrolling an area in a large open world, and he gets despawned when you move in a certain distance. When you come back in range, and he is where he should be given the passing of time. Many games do this, but it seems like a very complex task to solve. Well, you're correct about the last bit. Yes, it is a complex task to solve. But essentially, yes, you need to make it so you can simulate how far they're going to travel. Okay. Now, if they're traveling, if they're going towards a certain path, obviously we can't really do it in this sort of setup, but I'll explain one way you could do it. So when the AI character is walking, they actually know the path they're going to take. Okay. So if you get, I think you have to get controller first. Well, in any case, you get set. You can find the path to location like this, and it returns the path, navigation path reference here. And from that, you can work out whereabouts on that path they'll be. So you put in the start, put in the end, and then on here, yeah, you can get the path length, and you can get the path points. Okay, and then you want to estimate. So basically, you take note of what time they left, what time you see them again, and then you can work out along that path length how far they would travel using the classic speed, distance, time equation. So if your character is doing max walk speed here, you want to take the distance, so get the length, get path length, and be path length divided by walk speed, and this gives you the amount of path length divided. That takes the amount of time it's going to take them to reach the whole destination. Okay, and then you can work out from that how much time, like percentage wise, along the path have they actually gotten to. It is an estimation process. There's a lot more to do. Obviously, you've got to do use the path points that you get out of this. And like sum up the different locations and work out along that, basically a spline, work out where they are on that spline. Yeah. It's not straightforward, but it'd be something along these lines. Simulation. You're just simulating how far they would have traveled over time. And it's usually an estimation, like Skyrim, for example. It would be an estimation. It doesn't have to be pinpoint accurate. So yeah. Next question. I'm gonna go back to the YouTube channel. I'm gonna go back to your Soul Habe in a minute. Andrea from Tokyo. Hey Ryan, how to integrate user created mods? No built-in way. You're gonna have to implement it your own sort of system with C++. To allow people to inject game assets into your game. Now, obviously, we can load up files, external files, into Unreal, but anything extraneous is going to have to be custom coded with custom tool sets. So things like Skyrim, for example, they're moddable because they provide a moddable interface you can go into. Unreal, it doesn't support that straight out of the box. You have to go in and make that the case. Levi Santos, good question. Ryan Lely, when you want to implement a gameplay mechanic that you've never done, usually what steps do you approach? Well, you actually see this live quite a lot on Question Times and other live streams. People ask me a question on how to make something, and I've never made it before. So I'm like, okay, well, figure this one out. And so it all comes down to breaking down the problem, breaking down the various steps. So I'll sit down and think, what are the functions it's going to need? What are the variables it's going to need as a core operating thing? Okay, I'm not worried about the extra little functions or extra little variables. I'm looking at the main bits. And I also look for similarities. Is there similarity between this system and the system I do know? And if there is some overlap, then I can easily adapt that system into that one. For example, a shopkeeper is just an inventory that you trade stuff with. Yeah, it's just an inventory, basically. Reputation gains are just basically currency. It's just a different label. Yeah, there are things in the game that are very, very similar, but appearance-wise seem different. And it's a matter of just like looking at these things and seeing that there are underlying similarities. And so if you can recognize that and you know how to do one, you can probably figure out the other. If I don't know anything about that, I'll just play about with it. Like last week, I was learning about meta sounds because I haven't touched meta sounds yet. So I thought I need to actually sit down and learn this. So I started doing it for my game Mimic, learning meta sounds. And it was literally just looking through meta sounds, looking at the official documentation and playing around with it, seeing what the buttons do. Yeah, it's like you sit in the cockpit of a plane. It's like figuring out, oh, what's this button do? What does this button do? What does this button do? And it's just like experimentation to figure out how it works. And eventually you get to the point like, ding! I know, I can see how this works now. I can see how we do all that stuff. Okay, going back over to Discord. We've got a question from Kazaki. You got 5 questions. Okay, right. We'll probably do a couple and then go back to YouTube. Is there a way to know if animation is compatible with a skeleton mesh before attempting to play it? It should have the same skeleton. If it doesn't have the same skeleton, it won't work. So you can get the skeleton and compare it. Yeah. Is there a way to change rest collection of a chaos geometry collection component at runtime? Not that I'm aware of. I haven't touched chaos for a while, so it might have changed since then, but no, not as far as I'm aware. These are quite quick. We'll go through them. You've mentioned before that you used an API to allow a player to upload a level that they created so other players can play it. Was the API a cloud service? If yes, what was it? Oh, right. No, it wasn't an API. Basically, it wasn't made in Unreal. It was made in another engine, and it was a 2D game. And players could upload, like create a level by dragging blocks around in a 2D sort of tile sheet, basically. And what I did was I stored all those blocks as an array of strings, and the string was a code. Basically, the first few digits were the ID of the block, the second digit was the rotation of the block, and third one was like a variation of the block. And I converted them all to strings, and then I put all the strings together, and then I encrypted the string length, and then uploaded the string to a database, and then the database would download the string and then undo all that and to reinterpret what they were. I didn't use an API. I custom coded it just because it's simpler. It was just a simple string basically, and it helped out massively. 3D games are a little bit different because there's a lot more complex things to set up, so it's not as straightforward. But there may be some APIs already out there to handle that. I don't know for certain. How to get the thumbnail of an asset and return it as a texture. I'm trying to build a widget that shows a list of all selected meshes, materials, and folder. There are plugins. I've seen plugins for this, but there is no way of getting out the thumbnail that you want to get. I know what you mean. Like you want to get like these thumbnails here. Yeah. Yeah. No, you can't. You can't do that. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to load it into the thing and basically I made like a photo studio where I just take a load of pictures and I'll send it over to Photoshop and put all the things together. There's no automated way of getting this because the way these work, these aren't pictures. These are actual renders of the asset. They're not textures that you can assign. Obviously, you can assign a texture to it if you want to, but you aren't really doing anything like that. Like for example, I can go into here and thumbnail edit mode. I can scroll these around. As you can see, they're 3D models. They're not textures. So there's no way to really grab them without having to render out an image. So I usually make a little photo studio and I just render them out and get them out like that. If you don't know how to do that, by the way, that's settings and there's thumbnail edit mode, and you can reorient them to make them better. Yeah, which can often help because sometimes the orientation of these don't really make sense. Glass window is a bit hard to see, so let's just raise it up like that. Yeah. The sconce thing there. Yeah, you can do stuff like that. Okay. Yeah. Hi Red, how you doing? Colonel B question: classes like the game mode, player state, local player, game state, etc. Are documented in the context of a multiplayer. If you're doing a single player game, what classes should you use for what? Yes, so you're correct that most of these things, their functionality really does come through in a multiplayer setting. Single player, not so much. Now, saying that, there are some uses for it. So, for example, the game mode obviously is a very big one that we often use for single player, making things work. There are lots of things in the game mode that are designed for multiplayer, but you obviously need it still for single player too. So, it's quite useful to handle single player stuff in there too. The game state, less so. Player state, less so. That's all about handling communication between server and clients, mostly. They can store some things, like the player state. Ideally, store is for, like, score and health. But we don't need to do that in a single-player game because you can do it anywhere you want. So game mode is the main one. I typically will make a game mode, I'll make my own controller, my own game mode, and I'll make my own HUD class. Like that. And I also will make a I don't know why I did that. Sometimes make a player camera manager, so I can do my own camera stuff with this. I'll mess about with this as well, and you can assign all that inside the player controller. But for single player is a lot less impactful. Dylan C. Is there any chance to recover corrupted files? Not that I'm aware of. Sorry. John Williams, how do you get Gamepad to work with widgets using UE5's enhanced input? Glad you asked. So, we're going to we'll go back to our HUD timer thing that we made here. And I'm going to make I'll make a little box or something like this. Okay. And make it variable. And I want to make this thing turn off and on, basically, without a push of a button. All right. So, first of all, let's do the input for this. So, I'm going to go to my first person input, actions, and input. IA toggle UI. And that'll do. We don't need it to be anything extra special. And then in my default mappings, I'm going to add that to it. Toggle UI. And I'll set that to like the R key. Okay. So let's get working with keyboard first. That's always a good idea to do that. So I'm going to go my HUD timer. I'm going to go and search for IA toggle UI, because one thing that you may not realize if you haven't tried it out before is enhanced input actions. These things work inside widgets. So if I want to change something, I drag out the border and I'm going to do set visibility, and I'll put that on triggered, for example. I'll do select. When it's true, visible. When it's false, hidden. Okay. And if I go back to the game, and I have to make it UI mode. Sorry. Let's just go up here. Let's do it. Set input mode to game and UI or UI, as long as it's got UI in it. So let's go game and UI, for example. Get player control. Like that. And then it should work. I swear I had this working before. Why is that not working? Variable. I mean, we don't need to add focus to it. I swear I've had this working with the input actions before. No, maybe I messed up the code. Hang on. That's breakpoint. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I messed this up somehow. I think I probably messed up the Boolean thing. Okay, that's fine. We'll just do move. Completed. We'll make that hidden. There we go. So yeah, enhanced input actions are work on UIs as well. So if you want to make it work with a gamepad, it's exactly the same. You just give it a gamepad key. So I'll just go into here and turn on my gamepad here, and I'll make it the face button, and then push play. Yeah, I can push the button on the gamepad to toggle that off and on. So yeah, one big thing about enhanced input actions is that they now work inside of widgets. You don't need to do it with like looking at the keys and making sure to check it. Like there's no long way around it like that anymore. I just want to double check if we needed to make. I just want to make sure. Do we actually need this? I think we do. Just to double check. Just to add it to the stack, and oh no, it still works. Sweet. Okay. So yeah, even though it's not in gaming UI mode, it'll still register the input. Nice. Okay. But yeah. But yeah, it just works exactly the same as anything else. You just make up different commands to make it work for that. Simple as that. Let's go back to the Discord and see what other questions we got. Question 5 from Kuzaki. How to sweep against components while setting actor location or rotation when the root is a scene component. How to sweep against components while setting actor location or rotation. How to sweep against components while setting actor location or rotation when the root is a scene component. Can you explain what you're trying to do there? What's the context for that question? Hungry Monk, how do you load a level stream via streaming volume, but then unload the level stream via nodes when the player is still in the streaming volume without destroying the volume? It's just, I mean, it's just unload unload stream level. This thing. You put in the name of the level to unload when you want it to do that thing. I believe that's how it would work. I don't know. I haven't tried it out. I've often just used the volume, but I don't know why it's not coming up. It's gameplay statics. Oh no, it was there. Sorry, unload stream level. Yeah. So yeah, you just call this and it will unload the level. Okay. Hello, sir. Big fan. Are you able to load or unload actors? Not levels, just actors based on distance / collision, just without using C++. Well, if you're unloading an actor, you're destroying the actor. So just do destroy actor. If you are loading the actor, you spawn it back in. If you want it to be like stop rendering, it will stop rendering when you're not looking at it on the screen anyway. It won't work when you're still in the volume. I mean, you can always change the collision of the volume. I mean, I'm not entirely certain. I'd say it's not a common thing you do. I mean, you could probably override the level stream volume, hopefully. Let's have a look. Level stream. Nah. I mean, you could go through and make your own level streaming volume to work with this. I don't know if it's been a while. It's been ages since I looked at level streaming. I'm not entirely certain. I can't because I've got one condition. I mean, yeah, you could just change the collision of the volume, I guess. If you can. Can you not? Oh, it's a brush. Okay, no, you can't. Move it. That's one way you can do it. Just move it. Move it down out of the level. Yeah, maybe. Back to Discord. When setting the actor location, there's a sweep checkbox, but when it collides with something, it will stop. But that only works if the root component have collision enabled. For example, a static mesh. My actor is a scene root component and not a static mesh component. I'll try to sweep against the static mesh component, not the root. Also, is there a way to sweep when setting actor rotation? No, because most of the reason why you use a sweep is to stop you from going through walls, and their root is a primitive component. Showing as a static mesh component, not the root. I mean, you can always make the static mesh component the root. There's no sweep with rotation. No. Next question. Stefan. Hi, Ryan. I was checking out the sliding movement system from Atlas Fallen. How would you theoretically do something like that in UE? It looks counterintuitive to a standard movement blend space. I haven't seen this game. Okay, so give me a second. And let me look at Atlas Fallen. Gameplay.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back.
Yeah. Trying to get to some sliding action. Yeah, it's just a blend space. Looks alright. blend space or link layers. That involves a blend space. Never heard of this game. I mean, I've seen it, like, I've seen banners for it, but I mean, it looks like something that I would possibly play. You're talking about, like, this sliding. This sliding you're talking about. Because, yeah, it looks like a blend space. With a state machine that you transition into a slide mode and then off you go. Yeah, I would imagine it is a blend space. Next question. Sorry, if I'm trying to get through, see as many as I can. Red Fog SX. By the way, if using a behavior tree, is it better to cast an AI controller or to pawn to execute something? Classic answer. It depends. What you're trying to execute. If it's something that is going to be common to all your pawns, put it on the pawn. If it's something that is going to be common to all your AI, put it on the AI controller. The AI controller can also be copied to other people. It doesn't really matter. It depends on what you actually are wanting to achieve. Like attacks and combat stuff, I will put on the pawn, not on the controller. Controller trying to keep for like the brains, the thinking part of the character, and then let the pawn actually handle the actual movement of things and moving. Yeah. Next question. Something like chasing a player, that would be handled by the behavior tree. You're not casting to the pawn or anything. You're just telling, hey, move to this thing. And if you're using AI move 2, you obviously need a pawn for that. So yeah, it's handled by the behavior tree directly. You don't have to do anything with the pawn or the controller if you're getting the chase. By the way, I started recording the other night, but I'm going to redo it. It was the next episodes of the AI series, but I'm thinking, because we've covered pretty much all of the core fundamentals and some basic examples, but I wanted to go through and showcase like bigger examples like companion AI and getting AI to fight other AI, and then go to team AI, you know, things like that. But I'm thinking of making them their own separate series now, rather than an extension of that one, because it feels like that series might get too long. Let me know what you think. Do you think it'd be better off as like a separate series that dedicated just to companion AI? Because it will take a few parts to get right. It's not like a one and done. It's going to take a few episodes. Is that something that you'd think would be better for you guys? Let me know. Is there a way to test the efficiency of blueprint code? Beyond the basic stuff, we're looking at the GPU stats, CPU stats, and or FPS. That's about it. There's nothing really else you could really do. So, I mean, if you just type in stats in the bottom here, you'll see you got loads of things in here, and you can type in at GPU, and you'll see, okay, I've got GPU stats. I can enable that. I can theoretically, did I not hit it correctly? Up. Right. Why are they not showing? Okay, that's a bit the right one. Ah, it's the recording. Sorry. Oh, it's not GPU stats. What is it called? I always forget what these things are called. Stats. so you can do things like look at all the various different outputs you get from there. There's no real like way of indicating which part is causing the biggest issue. You can look at what actor's causing the biggest issue. That's one of them. I can't remember what it is, but you can do that. Yeah. Oh, I need to. God's sake. Stat. I forgot what it is now. Didn't pay attention. Stat group, stat system. Stat. I'm not getting it. Or maybe I'm trying to get it. Stat system. Yeah, there you go. There we go. Trying to find a question. Hang on, sorry. Okay, let me scroll up a bit. Is there a way to test performance of your game for a computer with lower specs without running on different PCs? You could use emulators and things like that to help you with that, but ultimately, not really. This is why PC games are a pain in the ass to make games for, because everyone has different SKUs and it's very difficult. But yeah, no, you can change the scalability and things like mess about with that, but no, you can emulators or different PCs. This is why we do betas, public betas and things like that, because everyone has different PCs. It's easy to test with them. So I'm trying to make sense of some of the questions. Yeah, virtual machine. Yeah, you know. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, everyone's saying virtual machines. Yeah, it's basically what we do. Question: your AI video regarding the AI following path points. Is it possible that after spawning an AI into the level, it can already have path points set to follow? Not so much. Because obviously the path points are reference. You can obviously use soft references and help you with that, but there's no way to easily apply these. It's not as simple as as it would be. But I mean, the one thing you can do is make some predefined pathing systems. So rather than what I did in the pathing video, where I made separate objects that you go around, you click which one they're going to go to next. You do an actual spline based one. And get them to follow based on the spline, and then you can assign that spline to them when they get spawned in. But the system I showed in that video, maybe not. So I may have to do a video showing how to do spline based pathing. Yeah, may have to do that. I'll look into it and maybe put something together. Oh, Red Fox. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, you want to move a vehicle outside. Oh, yeah, you want to move it with a pawn. You're basically doing add movement input, or adding, if it's a vehicle, you're adding velocity, physics to it, to make it move. Yeah, if you want vehicle AI, that's how you do that. You have to go through the pawn. VMAX. What's the optimal method to render a conveyor system like Satisfactory using instant static meshes or hierarchy instant static meshes? Overloads the CPU when moving meshes. Are shaders better? There's no clear tutorial. Thoughts on Niagara? Niagara's not a bad shout. Niagara would probably be a good way of doing that. Because these things that you have on the thing, can you interact with them? Can you pick up these things? I can't recall. I can't recall if you can interact with them or not. But yeah, Niagara system might be a pretty good way of doing it. Interacting with them is, yeah, it will have to be some sort of mesh. Problem with static meshes is the clue is in the name, static. It's cheaper for having them stand still. If you need to make them movable, that becomes expensive. But I'd imagine it'd be some sort of unique. Oh god, my cat's put a dead mouse in the house. Hang on, let me get him out. Close this window. He jumps back in again. I just turned around. I saw him like in a hallway with the bloody mouse in its mouth. Yeah, nightmare. Yeah, Greenie, Humsey. Your question about the inventory system. You make drop all function into a container instead of dropping 50 separate rocks when trying to do it by stumped. Yeah, we will be doing that. So, as you saw, there was a video came out recently in the inventory system. Did I make it? Is it public? I don't know if it's public or not. But there is another inventory system video out. And I'm going back and adding extra functionality to it that people have asked for. So, that is one of the ones. Work for that. What database do you recommend for uploading player-created levels? Everything related to levels are saved in small.level file, which is used to construct the level. But how do you upload it? So the database would be... Because the database can't store files. They can only store paths. So the uploads of the levels would go to a path. You store that path in a database associated to the user, ID, whatever name of it, whatever you want to do. And then... you get from there. The database I used for my one was just a simple web database because it was literally just strings. There was nothing fancy about it. It was just strings being regurgitated out into an actual thing. But yeah, it's beyond that. It's just because databases can't store assets. They can only store like data, like strings and things like that. It has to be a path name, and the path name would obviously be on the server. Ben, how much does it impact performance if you use object reference and not soft object reference? In Blueprint, not too much. Because most of the things you'll be working with are hard references. So yeah, not so much in Blueprint, not so much. If you're dealing with more abstract sort of classes that you're building from C++ or other things like that, then they become a bit more important because some things may not exist, so and could cause some issues with how memory is allocated to that object. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, I don't think Blueprint matters too much with that because you're mostly dealing with hard references. But yeah, I don't think there's a major reason why you should. Yeah, don't worry about them. Yeah. Next question. Shane, how do you add a chance on hit to attack and it play animation if it succeeds? Would it be the same as a crit chance? Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, there's 101 ways of doing this. So you can calculate when a hit has happened. So, for example, when we hit something with our projectile here, we'll apply damage to it. Okay, so you do apply damage. And the damage actor would be whoever you hit. Other. Damage causer would be self. Yep. And then you can use a damage type class. And you can do it on this side of things if you want. Or you can do it on the other side of things. It depends on where you put your stats and how it calculates the stats. So, for example, if it's doing a a crit chance, for example, it may be better off doing it this side of things because you're checking your own stats for applying a crit chance to it. And you can use damage type classes to handle this, or you can affect the base damage directly. I prefer using damage type classes because then I can notify to whatever I want whether it was a crit. So I'll do a quick example. For this, you'll want to use interfaces as well. So you make like a damage type class like this, and you do damage type crit. Okay, and then in here you'd return the crit chance, so the crit of it. So the variable would be is crit, and you tick it, and then we do don't have to really do anything really. Delete that. And then on the interface, do damage interface. There we go. Is crit, and on a damage type, we go to class settings and add interface to it. Damage interface. Name position the ground. Oh, I've got kind of the same name. Whoops. Is critical hit. There you go. There we go. Yeah, so then on when I can then do a chance when this will happen. So I could do like select, for example, and do random ball with weight, and say, okay, a 50% chance that this is going to return the crit damage. And then on the other thing that's receiving the damage, let's go back to this one. Any damage. The damage type class has been created, hence why it's a blue pin now, not a purple one. And then from there, you can now get the interface to call is crit. Oh, I forgot to actually add it to an output. Whoops. Cool. And then refresh. There you go. And then I can calculate how much damage it's going to do based on that. And on the other side of things, I need to go into damage type here, is crit, and then plug in critical hit there. You know, something like that. It's a very basic, quick example. You could do things like that. So you can work out whether or not something's critical on this side. Hit chance will probably be handled on this side of things. So it wouldn't be like using damage types here. It would be dealing with like your stats on this side, the receiver, whether or not they can take the hit or not. And if they don't, great. If they do, not so great. Yeah. And you can make and play a different animation. You just make a different event, a custom event on miss, and call that based upon whether it's true or false. You know, things like that. Hope that gives you some inspiration of how to approach that. I need to do more about damage types because they are pretty useful. Yeah. Next question. Feather Fox, I have one question. It has to do with your latest quest system. How do you set it up to turning quests to a different NPC, not the same one you picked the quest from? I'm going to have to go back and look at what I did for the quest system. I haven't looked at it for a while. But it could be something like how we're doing with the inventory system. We're going back to it and adding extra features to it. No doubt we'll go back to the quest system and add things to it. And that could be one of the things we add. Yeah, I can't recall what I did for the setup of that. So it could be something as simple as like, we can add another variable to it to indicate who we turn the quest into, and then going through that rigmarole. Another thing you could do is also do another objective to interact with someone. I'll have to have a look. I can't remember what I did for that. It's been a while. Eric, hello. Good to see you again, friend. How would you use AI to have a jackbot follow your player, or is that a camera? A jackbot? Do you mean like a drone thing that follows you around? Yeah, that would be... yeah, I'll show you. One way of doing that. Just add the third person to it. I mean, a lot of it's handled by AI too. You could do a spring arm type thing, yeah. So I think I've done this before in another video. So if I go into this character here and add a spring arm to it, okay, and I'll just something like that, and we'll bring it a bit closer. And on that spring arm, I'll just add a mesh. Step mesh. I'll just choose any old thing. We'll do a cone. There you go. There's my jackpot thing. Okay, so I want this thing to follow. What I can do is go to spring arm here, and I can go down to enable camera lag and enable camera rotation lag. And you can tweak these settings here to get it more floaty. I need to make it use this character. Hold on. Third person. So you say like it. Yeah, we need to make it not do the attachment thing. Hang on. Go to thing. Turn off inherit. Yaw probably pitch. Roll. Yeah, might as well turn off. Turn on the lag here to be slower. So like 2. 2 again. Like this is a cheat way of doing it, but they probably used AI in that game. Like that. You see, it sort of follows me. But you probably want the rotation of the yaw because he's not staying behind us. Just the rotation lag is going to be a bit insane. Oh, that's not too bad, actually. Yeah, it just needs to be attached to it, inherited like that, yeah. You could do some fake things like this. So it's a little cheap way of doing it, but it works. And you do things like clamp the distance it can possibly travel as well. With the max distance here. And yeah, you just play about with these settings to get the feeling right. But you say that's the cheapest way of doing it. And what's quite nice about this method as well is that physics plays into it a lot as well, because the spring arm's going to push him closer. So if I make the probe size the same size as him, so I make that like 50, for example. And if I try and maybe I need more than 50. Yeah, see that he'll push up against the wall like that. So it'll fake the collision of the things like that, which is pretty neat. Probably need to make the probe size a bit bigger though for that in that example. Change the probe size to 100. Probe size, basically imagine a big invisible ball at the end of the spring arm. So as you turn it, it's going to hit things. It's hitting me now. So, yeah. Let's change it to block static objects. It's hitting the floor, I think. Let's change that. Oh dear. There we go. And change that down to like 75 then. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, you do get some weird things like that happening. But I say they probably used AI in that game. But if you want a cheap way of doing it, this is a cheap way of doing it. But yeah, Eric. By the way, FYI, based on our conversation yesterday, that's done. It'll be in the next update, so keep an eye on the update for that. The climbing system is in there. Just FYI. Okay, gonna take on one more question. Next question, we're gonna go for Lulu Goo. How do I make a working hotbar? If you want to see an example of a working hotbar, check out my original ability system. Yeah, so hey, I've done a climbing system for Eric. I'll be making a video on it at some point. Yeah, climb up vines and climb up on the ledge and things like that. More on that soon. Yeah, I mean, there's some cool stuff I've been working on this week that I haven't shared yet. I'm going to show you how to do like assassination cinematics in the correct way. I'm going to film it this week probably. So yeah, be on Patreon next week after, something like that. But yeah. Yeah, but working hotbar, check out the original ability system series. We've got it in there. As you saw at the very start of the question time, if you turn up for that, you would have seen you can use enhanced input actions on the widget straight away. So if you want to make shortcut keys and hotkeys, you can do very easily. You just bind the different keys, different hotbar keys. So different inputs will be like 1, 2, 3. We set to different input actions. But yeah. Do you recommend making an inventory system with data assets or data tables? I've kind of fallen in love with data assets lately, so I'll go for that. But it's literally flavor of the month. Data assets also give you a lot more functionality in terms of the functions you can build onto it. So yeah, they're a bit better, but if I've got like it depends. But I do like using data assets lately, so I'll probably do that one. Anyway, that will have to do for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live for our question time live stream. We'll be back again on Saturday for a update on Mimic, my horror game that I've been making. There have been some work done towards that, including some animations that Luke has done for the game. There are more videos coming out of Luke. I just haven't pushed the button to upload them, so they'll be out soon. We've got some exciting plans happening very soon, but I won't say what they are just in case we'll see what happens. But hopefully very soon there'll be even more exciting plans coming through. And congratulations to the game Spray for winning our Summer Games Jam at the weekend. I'm going through, slowly but surely, adding reviews and scoring everyone's entries on itch. Should have been a manic, mad week of busyness, but I'm making my way through it. But yeah, yeah, I mean, what else? I could tell you some things that you could expect relatively soon, because I've been working on other stuff for other people. These are things you can expect being released and made soon. So there'll be, as I said, animation takedowns and talking about how to do that correctly. Improved dialogue systems and talking about how that works and how to do that. With like cinematic cutscenes like Boulder Gate style. Going through how to make a flying AI. And people have always asked me how to make a flying AI. I'm going to go through and show you that, because I've been making a dragon for a company. So I'm going to show you how to do a flying AI based upon that. I'm going to go through and show what else have I been working on. More camera stuff. There's some camera bits and bobs talking about the player camera manager and how you can manage that. Just started releasing this week is a detailed breakdown of the animation blueprint, talking about all the different features of the animation blueprint, how to best utilize it, how to best understand it, and use all the various bells and whistles it has to make things. So yeah, keep an eye out for those sorts of things coming out too. What else have I been making? Meta sounds. I'll be talking about that because I've been working on that with Mimic. Oh god, climbing system, as we mentioned. A new climbing system coming out. Talking about how to climb up like vines and things like that, with animations too. Yeah, and obviously plenty more stuff along the way. Busy time, lots of stuff going on. As I said, some interesting things coming very, very soon too. But thanks very much for watching. Make sure you do check out Mimic on Saturday. It's going to be cool. We've got what's been added to it is the new alien creature, the Mimic, has made its appearance with some animations that would be really cool to show off. Hopefully it's finished. We'll take a look at that. When's AI versus AI? I say I'm filming it this week. I did film it at the weekend, but I weren't happy with it. I think I might make it a separate thing. I'm making like a predator versus prey sort of AI system where one will chase the other and you know, vice versa. So I'll probably make it a separate series. So I'll probably re-record it. So you got that to look forward to. More AI stuff, more survival series stuff. The new video that came out today publicly for everyone. More of the building system for that. More action RPG stuff's coming soon. We've filmed 7 episodes of that so far. All on Patreon, I think 6 or 7, something like that. So be filming a lot more of those this week. It's just a matter of just catching up from the week I missed from holiday. That's all. But yeah, lots of stuff. And don't forget, we have to create a challenge for all the Patreon members. So if you're a Patreon member and want to get a little jam type thing and get some feedback about it. So I've been going through and checked out a few already, and I've recorded some feedback for some people. And yeah, it's interesting to see how people are interpreting the challenge and how they're implementing various things, and giving them good feedback about what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, what they should do to improve it, what things to consider to make things better as for a game design point of view. Like if you were to go for a job, what would make it better for that job? So going through that video, I'm recording bits of the feedback now, and that will be compilated at the start of September and then released sometime in September. A new one will be released in September too, but it's not too late to sign up. It's a very short jam. It doesn't take long. It takes as long as you want it to take, really. Some people have gone to the 9s and done some fancy things with it, but you don't have to. It's just getting feedback. So check it out. It's cool. And hopefully it takes off and does quite well. Hopefully not all like 1,000 Patreon members do it, because that'll take me an age to go through every single one of them. I have to rethink things, but so far so good. We haven't got 1,000 entries. We can do it. So yeah, if you're just from $1, you can do that, but we'll see. Will the flying AI spline based or using navmesh? It'll be using navmesh. It uses, well, not navmesh. It'll be using EQS to fly around, and so it does like detection about what's around it. So like I've done a dragon that flies up and then circles a sort of area, circles round, does attacks and breathes fire down on the ground and things like that. I've been doing that this week for a company. Well, not this week, the past month. Been doing that for the company. So yeah, we'll showcase some of that and how you do that. But anyway, thank you very much, everyone. Check it out on Saturday, our Mimic playthrough, and we'll talk about mentioned the animation, but also some interactive elements. We started putting interactions into Mimic, and we'll be talking about like the investment funding that's going to be going on, so that probably some Kickstarter elements of it, but we will talk about that on Saturday. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us live, and I'm out. I'll see you next time. Bye.